Part 2 of the Teachings for the New Golden Age by beloved Ascended Master Kuthumi. Preparing Teachers for the Golden Age. The Human Mind. Whence comes the human mind? Are the human mind and the human brain synonymous? No. The senses, sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, intuition, are intended to be the instruments of creation. They were meant to be the receiver of the divine plan. However, after the event called the fall of man, through distortion and inversion of the law, the senses began to draw into the brain structure the various faulty reports of the imperfect manifestations from the outside world. Finally, the senses' focus in the physical brain became a conglomerate mass of impressions reported to the brain by these faulty senses, and this conglomerate mass became the human carnal mind. This human mind is a powerful creation, which is not only an individual entity, but a mass entity, which is the controlling power of the average human being. The Great Presence, endeavoring to direct the life stream, projects the light ray into the heart and back up into this whirling, breathing individual being, who's so enarmored of his own thought and feeling processes is seldom aware of the voice of the silence. In the case of great men and women who have served the purpose of assisting the divine plan in nations, the God power had to raise that individual to a point where his human mind was stilled and there could be revealed the vision of the God plan. In spiritual study, the mirror of the mind has been referred to on numerous occasions. The outer mind is a sensitive, impressionable plate used as a conductor for the divine ideas released from God's perfect plan. It is the means by which the divine will is interpreted, and then, according to the facilities of the interpreter, it is put into physical manifestation. The outer mind was never intended to be a generating center for independent thought processes, but really as the receiver of impulses from the heart center of creation, which the individual then utilized to fulfill his or her part of the divine plan. In the great scheme of things, there is only one mind, not many. And this great perfect mind of God was intended to express itself through the many manifestations of the one, and the outer self was intended to be merely a conduit in the physical world to take the divine ideas and through the uses of the substance of the four elements, mold them into form. Because of the nature of the outer mind working through the brain, it is constantly reflecting pictures of one sort or another, because that is its natural avenue of service to the life stream. Having lost its focus, instead of the perfect pictures of the divine self, it reflects the conglomeration of thoughts and feelings and the written and spoken words of other outer minds who likewise are off focus. This conglomeration of facts and fancies form the intellectual accretion which, in an individual, is referred to as a good mind or a brilliant intellect. In reality, it is but a trash heap for the effluvia of other ignorant or sometimes illumined individuals. Every person must someday come to realize that the outer mind is the servant of the divine presence. The original crystal gazers were fully conscious of this, and the crystal ball represents the clear mind in which the truth of the universe is revealed. The brain is the instrument that the mind uses, but the mind itself is the instrument of the spirit. When these three are one, you have a balanced union and an awakened adept. When these three act independently of each other, you have an off-center expression which, through outer interests and desires, is often working wholly independent of the divine plan and seldom or ever is in accord with it. The mind substance fits into the brain as a hand fits into a glove. It is etheric in composition. Pure ether is crystal in substance, and the mind, to become fully alert to the impressions of divinity, must return to this crystal quality of substance. Therefore, to work eternally on the purification of the mind is to achieve great dexterity in transmuting the thoughts of divinity into expression. This crystal clear etheric substance, which is called the outer mind, should be constantly at peace, with no thought of self-generating expression. It should be like the sea, reflecting the sun. It should be constantly open to the divine plan of the universe, and then, seeing and knowing that plan, the individual should go forth and express it. The case into which the mind is fitted is the physical brain. This is made up of the earth substance, the elementals of the lower octaves, and is likewise impinged with the atomic chaos of wrong living. Pure as alabaster, light as the sun, must the brain structure become, and then the illumined mind is, in turn, a beautiful and strong instrument with which to work. The substances taken into the body as food are most quickly felt by the physical atoms of the brain, and as soon as they reach the solar plexus, their effect is felt on the brain structure. That is why, in Crotona, I was so extremely careful of diet. To achieve dexterity of the intellect, alertness of body, and illumination of the mind, the diet should be carefully prepared and adhered to. Man is a very complex instrument, and there are so many very fine cogwheels in the perfect working of the mechanics that it is always a source of amazement to me to see students advance as quickly as they do in such a state of maladjustment. I am extremely fond of the organ, and every note is tuned to the 1,000th of an inch, so that the result might be perfect, and yet the average student has no attunement whatsoever. In my schoolwork at Crotona, I use the music of divinity to bring harmony to the inner mind and to the atoms which make up the vehicle. And through that music, I did achieve great perfection in my instruments. If the outer world of mankind had not destroyed my venture, I feel much would have been done to advance the progress of the race through the evolution of the gods and goddesses I was preparing to represent the hierarchy.